In the heart of New Orleans, a city known for its vibrant jazz music and rich history, lurks a shadowy tale that's remained unsolved for over a century. Between 1918 and 1919, the streets of this lively city were haunted by a mysterious figure known as the Axeman. His reign of terror left an indelible mark on the city's psyche, and his story remains one of the most chilling unsolved mysteries in American history. The first whispers of the Axeman began in the spring of 1918. Residents would wake up to find their doors shattered, their homes invaded, and their loved ones brutally attacked. The assailant's weapon of choice? An axe, often left behind at the scene. Over the next 18 months, New Orleans was gripped by a wave of terrifying attacks. While the victims spanned different ages and genders, a significant number were Italian immigrants or Italian Americans. This pattern led many to speculate that the crimes were ethnically motivated. Media outlets further fueled this narrative, sensationalizing the attacks and even hinting at mafia involvement, despite a clear lack of evidence. In each chilling incident, the Axeman's modus operandi remained hauntingly consistent. He would meticulously chisel away at a door panel, stealthily enter the residence, and then launch a savage assault on the unsuspecting inhabitants. On a fateful night in May 1918, Joseph Maggio, a respected Italian grocer, and his wife Catherine faced a harrowing ordeal in their home, which also housed their barroom and grocery, situated at the intersection of Upper Line and Magnolia Streets. An intruder silently made his way into their residence and, in a swift act of violence, slit the couple's throats. Joseph, showing remarkable resilience, managed to hold on for a few moments after his brothers, Jake and Andrew, discovered the scene. The aftermath revealed some perplexing clues. Officers on the scene found discarded, blood-soaked clothing, suggesting the assailant had changed before making his escape. While the initial investigation seemed thorough, a significant piece of evidence, a razor, was later found on a neighboring property's lawn. What made the case even more puzzling was that nothing appeared to be stolen from the home, ruling out robbery as a motive. The investigation took a surprising turn when it was revealed that the razor belonged to Andrew Maggio, Joseph's brother and a local barber. Esteban Torres, an employee at Andrew's barber shop, informed the police that the razor had been taken by Andrew a couple of days before the incident for minor sharpening. Andrew, who resided next door, claimed he became aware of the incident hours later due to some faint noises. He attributed his delayed response to his state of inebriation, having celebrated the previous night before his upcoming naval enlistment. However, the police found it curious that he hadn't noticed the break-in. This, coupled with the discovery of the razor, momentarily placed Andrew in the spotlight as a prime suspect. But inconsistencies in his statements and mention of an unidentified individual seen near the home before the incident led to his release. Catherine Maggio, the beloved wife of Joseph Maggio, faced a tragic end on that fateful night. Her injuries were severe, and unlike her husband, she did not have the chance to hold on for long. By the time Joseph's brother arrived, Catherine had already succumbed to her injuries. Adding to the eerie nature of the crime, a cryptic message was found scribbled on the nearby pavement. "Mrs. Maggio will sit up tonight just like Mrs. Tony." This message is believed to allude to a previous incident involving Anthony and Joanna Chambra, Italian greengrocers who faced a similar attack in 1911. Joanna, affectionately known to many as Mrs. Tony, tragically lost her life in that earlier incident. The connection between the two cases added another layer of mystery to the already perplexing events surrounding the Maggios. Not long after the tragic incident involving the Maggios, another chilling event unfolded. On June 27, 1918, Louis Bessemer and his companion Harriet Lowe were assaulted in the living quarters behind Bessemer's grocery store, situated at the junction of Dorgenois and La Harpe Streets. Both were found injured, with Bessemer having sustained a blow near his temple and Lowe injured near her ear. The discovery was made by John Zonka, a bakery wagon driver, during his routine morning delivery. Curiously, the weapon used in the attack, a hatchet, belonged to Bessemer himself and was later found within the apartment's bathroom. Bessemer claimed he had been asleep during the assault. The initial suspect was Louis Obakan, a recent employee at Bessemer's store. Despite a lack of concrete evidence, Obakan's inconsistent accounts of his whereabouts led to his arrest. However, he was soon released due to insufficient evidence. The case took a bizarre turn when a collection of letters in various languages, including German, Russian, and Yiddish, were found at Bessemer's residence. This discovery raised suspicions that Bessemer might be involved in espionage, suspicions that were further intensified by Lowe's accusations from her hospital bed. Bessemer faced arrest, only to be released shortly after, leading to the demotion of the lead investigators on the case due to their handling of the situation. The saga didn't end there. In August 1918, as Lowe's health deteriorated following an unsuccessful surgery, she accused Bessemer of being her attacker. This accusation led to his arrest and subsequent trial for murder. However, after a brief deliberation lasting only 10 minutes, a jury acquitted him in May 1919, leaving the case enveloped in mystery and speculation. In a subsequent and deeply unsettling incident on August 5, 1918, Anna Schneider, a 28-year-old woman who was 8 months pregnant, faced a harrowing ordeal. She was attacked in her Elmira Street residence, discovered by her husband, Ed Schneider, when he returned from work. Despite the trauma, Anna miraculously gave birth to a healthy child just 2 days later. Curiously, the only item reported missing from their home was a small amount of cash. The nature of the attack and the minimal evidence of forced entry led investigators to believe that a nearby lamp might have been the weapon used. While an ex-convict named James Gleason was initially arrested in connection to the attack, he was soon released due to insufficient evidence. Given the similarities and timeline, detectives began to theorize a possible connection between this case and the earlier incidents involving Bessemer and Maggio. 5 days later, on August 10, 1918, the city's sense of security was once again shattered. Joseph Romano, an elderly gentleman residing with his nieces, Pauline and Mary Bruno, became another name on the Axeman's list. The two young women were jolted awake by unsettling noises from their uncle's room. As they rushed in, they caught a fleeting glimpse of the assailant making his escape. The sisters managed to discern that he was a dark-skinned, heavy-set man dressed in a dark suit and a slouched hat. Despite Romano's injuries, he showed a brief resilience, managing to walk to the ambulance on his own. However, his injuries proved fatal, and he passed away 2 days later. The house bore signs of a hurried search, but intriguingly, nothing seemed to be missing. The only tangible evidence left behind was an axe in the yard and a tampered panel on the back door, indicating the intruder's point of entry. The incident sent shockwaves throughout New Orleans. Fear gripped the residents, with many reporting sightings of a man fitting the description of the Axeman. Some even claimed to discover axes mysteriously placed in their yards, amplifying the city's panic. John D'Antonio, a retired Italian detective, offered his insights, drawing connections between these attacks and unsolved crimes from 1911. He speculated that the same individual might be behind both sets of crimes, driven not by any clear motive, but by an uncontrollable urge. D'Antonio painted a chilling picture of the potential assailant, suggesting he might lead a dual life, seemingly ordinary at times, but occasionally overtaken by a dark, murderous impulse. He likened this behavior to the fictional characters of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, emphasizing the unpredictable nature of the attacker. Months passed without incident, but then in the quiet suburb of Gretna, Louisiana, just across the Mississippi River from New Orleans, the Cortamilia family found themselves at the center of a harrowing incident that bore striking similarities to the Axeman's M.O. On the night of March 10, 1919, the peacefulness of Jefferson Avenue and 2nd Street was shattered by alarming screams emanating from the residence of Charles Cortimiglia, an Italian immigrant, his wife Rosie, and their infant daughter Mary. Orlando Giordano, a local grocer, was quick to respond, rushing to the Cortimiglia home. What he found was deeply distressing. Rosie, despite her injuries, stood in the doorway, holding her daughter, while Charles was found injured on the floor. Both parents had sustained serious injuries and were immediately taken to Charity Hospital. A cursory investigation revealed no theft, but there were clear signs of forced entry, and an axe was found on the back porch. In a surprising twist, as Rosie regained consciousness, she accused Orlando and his son, Frank Giordano, of the attack. Charles, however, refuted these claims. The evidence seemed inconclusive. Orlando, due to his age and health, seemed an unlikely perpetrator, and Frank's stature appeared incompatible with the evidence at the crime scene. Yet, based on Rosie's testimony, both Giordano men were arrested and subsequently found guilty. Frank faced a death sentence, while his father was sentenced to life imprisonment. The story took another unexpected turn when Charles and Rosie's marriage ended in divorce after the trial. Not long after, Rosie recanted her accusations, admitting that her claims had been driven by personal animosities. Given that her testimony was the primary evidence against the Giordanos, both men were exonerated and released, leaving the community in shock and the true events of that fateful night a mystery. In a move that sent shockwaves throughout New Orleans, a letter, chilling in its content and audacity, surfaced in mid-March 1919, claiming to be from the very hand of the elusive Axeman. Published in local newspapers, this missive from hell was dated March 13 and addressed to the esteemed mortal of the city. In the letter, the writer boasted of evading capture, describing himself not as a man, but as a spirit and a demon from the hottest hell. He mocked the police for their inability to catch him, even going so far as to jest about their past investigations. The Axeman's tone was both taunting and threatening, warning the police against trying to uncover his identity, lest they incur the wrath of the Axeman. But what truly set the city on edge was the Axeman's peculiar proclamation of his fondness for jazz music. In a bizarre twist, he offered the residents of New Orleans a macabre proposition. On the upcoming Tuesday night, at precisely 12:15 earthly time, he would roam the streets of the city. However, any household playing jazz music, his apparent weakness, would be spared his wrath. Those who ignored his musical mandate did so at their peril. The letter concluded with the Axeman's chilling promise that he had been, is, and always will be the most malevolent spirit, whether in reality or the realm of fantasy. The city's response was palpable. On the designated night, New Orleans resonated with the sounds of jazz, as residents heeded the warning and hoped to ward off the malevolent presence of the Axeman. The letter, whether a genuine confession or a cruel hoax, remains one of the most haunting chapters in the tale of the Axeman, blurring the lines between reality and the stuff of nightmares. As 1919 progressed, the city's unease grew with a series of chilling incidents that seemed to follow a hauntingly familiar pattern. In August, Steve Boca, a local grocer, experienced a harrowing encounter. He was jolted awake by a shadowy figure and later found himself injured, with evidence suggesting an attempted break-in at his residence. Despite his injuries, Boca's memories of the event remained hazy. September brought another unsettling episode. Sarah Lauman, a young woman of 19, was found in her home with significant injuries. An open window hinted at the intruder's entry point, and once again, an axe was found nearby. Though she recovered, Lauman couldn't provide any details about her attacker. The series of attacks culminated in October with the assault on Mike Pepitone. Disturbingly, his room bore the signs of a violent struggle, with even a painting of the Virgin Mary not spared from the aftermath. While his wife caught a fleeting glimpse of the assailant, she couldn't provide a clear description. This incident marked the last in a series of crimes attributed to the elusive Axeman, leaving the city in a state of perpetual apprehension and mystery. As with any unsolved mystery, theories abounded. Some believe the Axeman was a bloodthirsty butcher, while others speculated he was a vengeful spirit from the city's dark past. Some even whispered that he was a demon sent to punish the city for its sins. The police were not short of suspects. Numerous individuals were arrested and interrogated, but none could be definitively linked to the crimes. The lack of concrete evidence and inconsistent testimonies of witnesses and survivors made it nearly impossible to pinpoint a single culprit. While the identity of the Axeman remains shrouded in mystery, various theories have emerged over the years, attempting to unmask the elusive killer. One such theory, proposed by crime writer Colin Wilson, suggests that the Axeman might have been Joseph Monfray. This theory gained traction when it was revealed that Monfray was shot dead in Los Angeles in December 1920 by the widow of Mike Pepitone, the Axeman's last known victim. Wilson's speculation had been echoed in numerous true crime books and online platforms. However, this theory is not without its skeptics. Michael Newton, a renowned true crime writer, delved deep into the archives of New Orleans and Los Angeles, scouring police records, court documents, and old newspaper clippings. His findings? No evidence of a man named Joseph Monfray being assaulted or killed in Los Angeles. Furthermore, Newton couldn't find any records indicating that Mrs. Pepitone, sometimes identified as Esther Albano, was ever in California, let alone arrested or tried for any crime there. Interestingly, the name Monfray was not uncommon in New Orleans during the Axeman's reign. Some records hint at a Joseph Monfray or Mumfrey with ties to organized crime and a checkered past in the city. Yet the lack of comprehensive local records from that era makes it challenging to confirm these claims or identify this individual conclusively. As it stands, Wilson's theory remains just that, a theory, an urban legend with no more concrete evidence now than there was in the Axeman's time. Adding another layer to the mystery, an Italian couple, the Chambras, were allegedly early victims of the Axeman. In 1912, they were attacked in their lower Ninth Ward home, with Mr. Chambra surviving and his wife tragically losing her life. Newspaper accounts from the time repeatedly mention a prime suspect by the name of Monfray. While the nature of this attack deviated significantly from the Axeman's typical methods, if Joseph Monfray was indeed the Axeman, the Chambras might have been his early victims. Scholar Richard Warner introduces another twist to the tale. He identifies the primary suspect in the Axeman's crimes as Frank Doc Monfray, who operated under the alias Leon Joseph Monfray or Manfray. Intriguingly, Monfray's jazz business in the Garden District, which had been floundering, suddenly flourished when the city, under the Axeman's threat, began fervently playing jazz music. This sudden change in fortune raises eyebrows and adds another layer of intrigue to the already complex narrative of the Axeman of New Orleans. The last known attack attributed to the Axeman occurred in October 1919. After that, the trail went cold. The city, however, would never forget. The memory of that year of terror lingered, casting a shadow over New Orleans' vibrant streets. Today, the story of the Axeman is recounted in hushed tones in the city's dimly lit bars and around campfires. It has become a part of New Orleans' rich tapestry of legends and tales, a chilling reminder of the city's tumultuous past. The Axeman of New Orleans remains one of America's most enigmatic criminals. His motives, identity, and fate are all shrouded in mystery. But his legacy is undeniable. He is a testament to the city's resilience, a dark chapter in its storied history, and a haunting melody that will forever echo in the hearts of those who call New Orleans home.